And joining us now on the phone is Mr. Dennis Bradley. He's a spokesman for Itronics Incorporated. Their stock symbol is ITRO. Dennis, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Don. Happy to be with you.
Now, Dennis, tell us again what Itronics does.
Well, Itronics is a diversified zinc fertilizer and silver-producing green technology company. In our past sessions, Don, I've talked about how Itronics is the only enterprise in the world that can do what they do with their trade secret protected technologies. Even to this day, the company's Northern Nevada production facility is the only fully permitted beneficial use plant in the U.S. that converts 100% of spent photo liquids into resalable products. And that's the 11 different lines of fertilizer under the brand name Golden Grow. But rather than talking about the company's history that goes back to the 80s, Don, I'd like to give you some updates on some breaking news.
Take the floor.
In preparation for this interview, I met in person with Dr. John Whitney, the founder, CEO, and chief of operations of Itronics, and Mr. John Key. And John recently joined the Itronics management team, and he is the vice president projects for Itronics subsidiary Whitney & Whitney, and president and chief operating officer for Itronics Auric Gold and Minerals Incorporated. And we'll talk about the value of the exploration project that John is heading up over in the Yerington Mining District. Don, as you know, a shareholder owns a percentage of a company, how much of it the company is worth. Well, what's been happening with Itronics is the value of its assets have been increasing on a week-to-week basis. Let me give you an example. In a press release dated March 5th of 2019, it was revealed that surface indicators of the property owned by Itronics in the Yerington Mining District, 2,800 acres, that there was gold mineralization accompanied by silver, zinc, lead, and copper at that project. And, well, holy smokes, there hasn't been a gold claim filed in that region in the last 50 years. But in June, it was announced that Whitney & Whitney, subsidiary of Itronics, with further field examination, increased by 6 times the estimated value of what that project is going to be about. So the scope of the asset is of greater value than first determined. And meanwhile, Don, look what's happened with the significant increase in the value of gold and silver since the end of May.
Right.
So here, the Itronics asset is increasing on a week-to-week basis, and they really haven't had to do a thing with it yet. So, and same time with the e-waste line of business that Itronics has pioneered in the last 2 years, and the precious metals that they're harvesting from the tons of e-waste. Look at the value of the silver that they're harvesting, along with this copper, zinc, tin, from an inexhaustible waste stream. The tons and tons of e-scrap that now Itronics is able to convert 100% of their resources into, again, saleable product.
Well, what's really interesting, Dennis, is that the company has absolutely no waste whatsoever from its recycling processes, right?
That's right, and they're recognized, they've received awards really around the world, Don, because they have a zero waste mode of operation. Every bit of resource that is brought into their Northern Nevada production facility is converted into saleable product. Zero waste. The only waste that ever happens is if a toilet gets flushed. So, and that's the application of their technologies. And as they continue with their research and development, not resting on their laurels, and looking at different waste streams to harvest the value from. So, for instance, with the photo liquid waste, converting that 100% of it into 11 different lines of fertilizer, number one. Number two, the e-waste, the tons of e-waste, and harvesting the precious metals from that waste stream and into saleable product. When about, let's see, 2.5 years ago, down when we started with the e-waste recycling, I held in my hand the first silver that was produced with that process. It was about the size of a button in the palm of my hand. Today, there are 45-pound ingots of silver and precious metals being produced that are then sold to a refining company. So this is all work in progress that's an ongoing basis. Meanwhile, the demand for Golden Grove fertilizer, Itronics Golden Grove fertilizer, has been increasing exponentially. Don, as we've talked about before, Nutrien acquired Crop Production Services. Nutrien is the largest fertilizer distributor in the world. They have the rights to distribute Golden Grove fertilizers. And the demand for the fertilizers has been increasing exponentially. As a matter of fact, it was announced in early July that Golden Grove fertilizer sales from January through June 2019 exceeded all of the 2018 sales.
That's amazing. Once again, the company is Itronics Incorporated, ITRO. Dennis, fabulous update. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, happy to be with you again, Don, and I welcome anyone that wants further information. Simply send an email to investor@itronics.com. Put my name, Dennis, in the subject line. It'll be brought to my attention, and I'll communicate with them as soon as possible.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Good day.